So what's right behind me? The Garden Ascension, aka Rebirthing. Jandel created a post on his Discord server for Grow Garden, stating there's going to be some changes to this. Of course, before we end up getting started, if you're brand new, hi, I do Grow Garden content, and I'd appreciate if you like the video as it does come out. Wow, what a great first impression. Make sure you guys like the video as it does help me come out with more content like this for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. So I know I'm a little late to this. I didn't see this until earlier today because I wanted to see what was updated, but he said that he's going to be creating some changes to the Ascension shop. Obviously he was at RDC this week, so we didn't get to see him throughout the admin abuse and everything. But what I'm curious about is what kind of changes are we expecting to see during this time? A few days ago, there were some slight changes to the fairy event, which is amazing because I did notice a drastic difference between how much certain things cost versus how it did cost in the very beginning of this event. By now, if you guys are tired of this event, I do not blame you. It has been such a strange and tedious grind for fairy tokens. Not so much the fairy nets and the fairy jars, just the tokens. By now, I know a majority of you guys have been working on your Garden Ascension over here. What made this a little bit more complex is the twisted mutation. I know I spoke about this a couple of times and we all assumed that it might have been a bug. For whatever reason, this mutation doesn't want to show up all that often, and when it does, certain things don't apply. Now, we have gone through all of the methods to try to do this. You could use a pterodactyl to try to get a twisted mutation, all these pets and everything that you could use. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're primarily here to talk about what changes to the Ascension shop could be made in order to make this easier. And also, there are different tiers of rewards that we can get through different shops as well. This is primarily focused on your garden and additional things over here. Now, these are 3 things that were not here before. We have a laser fence, a Greek fence, and an ascended fence. These were never here before, and now they are. So I'm wondering if we're going to get new additional items, or if just the layout of this is going to be changed UI-wise, and or how these things are placed out. Clearly, with Sam, some people aren't even aware there's a tier 2 shop, and it doesn't give you an indication that yes, you can go ahead and get some items here. And unironically, even with Raphael, he also has the same exact thing going on for him as well. You can go ahead and feed him in order to unlock a different tier shop, which uses the Garden Ascension coins. If it's to just basically revamp how the visuals work for this, creating an all-in-one, transferring whatever Raphael has, and as well as Sam over here, and just pretty much putting it all in the Garden Ascension guy over here, then I could see that being a revamp. But some changes doesn't sound like it's a huge thing. It could just be visually changing everything to avoid confusion between going to Sam, Raphael, and then to the Garden Ascension guy. I would see this being an all-in-one hub versus something that you have to go into 3 areas such as this here, over here, and all the way over there. Maybe it might be visually changed so it's easier to access. Quickly going back over to the twisted mutation, I feel like I wasn't the only one who was experiencing this. Somebody as well, who ended up getting their suggestion bumped it all the way up to the starboard, suggested a twisted mutation spray, which I think might be a really good idea for those that really need to get this. They're basically suggesting to go ahead and have this added in because it's almost impossible to get this twisted mutation based on the weather system and even using the pterodactyl. And the main problem with the pterodactyl is when it applies mutations, it either applies Windstruck or Windstruck plus Twisted, and it turns into Temptress. This might make the entire Ascension thing a little bit more appealing because right now, currently, it's not doable just based on that. Not the shekels, not anything else. It's that mutation and that mutation only. I did find this one post saying huge needed Garden Ascension update. Move the Garden Ascension shop, which I absolutely agree on. It's in a place where it's a little awkward, away from everything. It gives players a non-incentive to actually go all the way over there because they don't feel like walking over there. Sometimes I actually do forget that there's even something over there to begin with. I do agree on the Ascension bar, such as a progress bar. Now, whether or not that might work the same way how everybody else is for the feeding, or if it's just something on your UI in general, it still will help out a lot because it gives you a friendly reminder that you do have something in progress, and it gives you more motivation to kind of like complete it out pretty much. It reminds you. Now, I know for the currency that it costs to go ahead and ascend, this may not be agreeable by everyone. Now, Garden Ascension is supposed to be a rebirth. You're supposed to kind of lose everything pretty much when you rebirth. Luckily enough, we don't lose our garden, our seeds, stuff like that. So I feel like the shekels situation is a little fair, and especially if we're able to trade. The only downside of it is you do lose 10% each time that you decide to trade back and forth. However, I do also agree on the concept that 10 tokens might not be enough, especially if we're not getting the twisted mutation that is required for this. If we were able to easily get this mutation, then I would say both of these points are not valid. I feel like right now, getting 10 tokens for a mutation that is nearly impossible to get. Remove the requirement of needing to mutate fruits in order to ascend. I feel like this one specifically and these two here, they correlate with each other. I understand where this person is coming from and a lot of your guys' feelings towards this. I agree to an extent. If the twisted mutation was a little bit more easier to get and we had access to the last suggestion, which was a mutation spray for twisted, or making it a lot more easier and common to get, these three suggestions wouldn't be necessary. And the funny part is, I highly agree with the garden save slot. I feel like the more that you can have on your plots, the better. I feel like 3 for the average player that actually plays this a lot, 3 might not be enough. Because let's think about it. One save slot for events such as this, another save slot for like a personal decorative plot that you want to go ahead and use, and another one which can be used for going into a public server, let's say for example. But what about other save slots if you want to do testing on fruits and stuff, or plants that can get large? You can't really do all that much with just 3. Then again, I know this heavily relies on save data and how much storage this can hold, stuff like that. And remember, we have hundreds of thousands of people playing during the weekend, maybe even millions. So I understand if this is not a possibility, if it's going to happen right away over time, sure. And the other two, I mean, are changing the price of the garden save slot, which I mean 50 is 50, you have to do this 5 times. Again, I feel like this would be heavily relied on the twisted mutation and other mutations that are pretty much impossible to get. And the ascension counter. I feel like if you had like a little counter maybe somewhere, I don't know, on how many times that you ended up rebirthing, I think that would actually be pretty cool. But definitely having this guy all the way out there, you kind of do forget that it actually exists. It's very forgettable. I feel like having all of the stuff that Sam has and what Raphael has in his shop should all be put into one little universal hub, and having him be somewhere that's realistic. And honestly, this could literally just go in the middle. These two could just get slightly moved over and he could just plop right here. We have the merchants that show up right over here, so I mean, that's definitely doable. I definitely feel for the entire team because I know one small little thing could set ablaze the entire community. So I say all this with love. You could go from a few 100,000 people to playing to millions of people playing within the weekend, and obviously you have to make everybody happy during that time period. One slight little thing and you're bombarded with a ton of people who are unhappy, which I completely understand. This video is to not be judgmental towards the changes and obviously the things that they've done. Just some small little tweaks here and there, and everything will be fine. If you feel like you have any really good suggestions, leave some comments down below. I didn't have a chance to play Grow Garden when it first came out. I started probably when the moon event started. I forgot what it was called, but it was like a night moon event, something like that. So I came in a little late. What you guys are used to from the OG days, I'm not entirely used to. What I am used to is hard rebirthing, losing stuff, and being able to keep our garden and seeds and stuff makes me happy. Even the shekels were okay. But again, I'm not everyone and you're not me. So I would love to hear your thoughts on what this Garden Ascension might hold and what you guys think your suggestion to the devs might be. And I'll be honest, I'm actually gonna go ahead and wait on ascending. It's not like I can anyways because I have to get a twisted mutation on one of my pine cones. I think that mutation spray that other person had a really good thought on might be a good idea. And it's totally up to you guys if you also want to wait or if you just want to keep ascending. Remember, they added 3 things that I didn't even see inside of the shop until recently. Whether those were there before or not, that's literally the first time that I'm ever seeing them be added. And of course, with Sam having his own additional section where we're still able to feed him, even if you hit tier 3, you're still able to feed him. Same thing goes with Raphael. I'm just one off point to see what's behind what his shop has. So for me, I'm still gonna go ahead and feed Sam because I want to see again if that maximum is going to just stop at 3 or if he's going to go to tier 4. If they choose to add more things, I feel like for me it's going to be a really good benefit regardless whether or not I'm wasting food. It doesn't really matter. And again, if you're brand new to my channel, hi, I do grow garden content. And again, as always, make sure you guys like the video as it does help me come up with more content like this for you guys and I would appreciate it. Until then, I will see you guys in the next video.
Okay, bye.